Oh. Hello everybody, and let's check my microphone's working. Hello, welcome to the show. Yep, all looking good. Wow, loads of people waiting, most ever. So who's first on? Finky Stingers again, well done Finky Stingers. Pranawda, Gavin, Elliot, Davies, Shemai Butt, Diego Pontedilais, Ross. The thumbs down appeared before the show even started. But the YT algorithm counts both as the same. Well, thank you. Yeah, this is quite funny how we get there. First thumbs down before the show even starts. There we go. As you can see, we got Arnie back. And he's just playing a little bit of tango. Oh yeah, so Angie goes... I don't know this for any reason apart from it came from our garden. And Angie says a tango playing. Hey Lego, thanks again for the pie last week. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Gary Taylor, yeah, let the fun begin. And I hope Darren's there as well. And Zach and the others, very good. Alex, Susanna Price, hello everyone. Right, we got biggest water bomber in the world. It went down to help Mexico. That's good to know. Hang on, I'm not quite on the picture. So he just rumbles away. I'll just introduce some of the topics on tonight. So much stuff. Don't know how to squeeze it all in. What a busy week it's been. Oh, just about get it all done. Right, just quickly remind myself what we're going to have. Thank you very much, Arnie. Daryown. Don't know why we had a tango in particular, but there we go. We fancied that tango. Why not? Very good. Oh, hang on a second. Let me set up the first slide on my thing. Uh-oh. There we go. Everything's good. Right, so we're going to have a little bit of Gareth Icke. That's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Hopefully he'll come off for an interview in the next couple of weeks. So it's something about that. Then we got Pam with the Saving the British Counties. Quick mention of that. Thanks to Marshall. Another amusing, well, I say amusing. Alan's amusing. The topics aren't amusing. With Alan Wilson. Then we got a little bit about what is Ogham and Defrobani and Amorica. I got some unpublished work from Alan Wilson about that. I got some cartoons from Gary. Loads of stuff. So let's just do a few more hellos and then we shall dive in, I think. Oh, hang on a second. What's that Angie up to?
We're setting up a computer.
Oh, setting up. Yeah, we've got no producer on. Right, so we've got loads of people on. Right, evening all. Oh, loads of people. Right, hang on a second. I can't keep up. Malicious trolls. Yeah, don't worry about that. Hello, Idris. Oh, I see. So if we get more thumbs downs, it actually helps. Okay. All right, David, Patricia. Right, all the usual crowd on. Some new people as well, I hope. And if you are new, I just want to introduce everyone. Oh, what's Patricia saying? You'll be glad of the bomber if these trees over there burn. Yeah, sorry, I'm making light of it. But obviously we've had this, hopefully not a prelude for what might happen in Britain. But I know, obviously, Patricia, does a lot of work on the books and everything, lives in the west of Canada, where they've had this incredible heat wave that's gone for month after month. And then everything caught fire. The trees, and Britain at the moment is this mass planting. I was going to say more about it. You have to go onto the Welsh government website and look at the promotional video for planting the trees. If it wasn't so tragic, it's hilarious how it can improve the environment and that. And then they show all these pictures of just loads of pine trees and massive trucks taking them out for logging. So making the most of our resources. Hello, John Taylor. It's been terrible. So what's happening to Patricia's area and her own son-in-law, I think, rather than son. He's been working all hours, trying to keep a lid on these fires, and they've got these helicopters with scoops they can drop water on, and these bombers. It's been really tough. And the scary thing is that, we've had a very damp, miserable, cold summer so far in Wales, apart from a couple of weeks where it's really hot. But the worry is that a lot of these fires need fuel to keep going. So we've always had hill fires in Wales, the ferns and that burn, but they're fairly controllable because just there's not much on Welsh hills to burn. It's just turfy grass. Same in most of England. But suddenly, if you've got loads and loads of trees providing the fuel, once the fire gets going, boom, it's off and running. Arnie's a star. Yeah, well done. Thank you. Hello, Llywelyn Pren.
Thank you.
Evening all. Right, loads of people. And at least the Brits didn't plant cotton trees like Spain did. And they are flammable. Yeah, same happened in Australia. You have these massive fires going on with the eucalyptus trees and that. and they just, created a fire hazard. And I know, I try so hard to avoid modern politics. It's very difficult. I remember when the fires started in California, and I just happened to be awake 4 or 5 in the morning. I caught the news, and there was the fire commissioner explaining that in old times, California was more or less desert, and you'd have a couple of trees per acre, so any fire could never really get going. But in recent years, there's been so much planting. There's now thousands of trees and vineyards and all sorts of things. So the fire caught up and went crazy, all those places like Paradise and that got burnt to the ground. People losing their homes and everything, awful. And of course, when the president, Mr. Bush, not Bush, Mr. Trump, Freudian slip, went on and said the same thing a day later, of course, for political reasons, is unacceptable. Anyway, there you go. Hey, Monica's back on. Hello, Monica. Good to see you. Because Monica's also been involved with Gareth Icke as well. So here we go. Right, so I'm going to go straight in, I think, because there's tons and tons and tons of stuff tonight. Oh, I've opened the wrong presentation. Hey, that's cool. Oh, wrong one. Where's my presentation gone? Here we go. Right, hang on a second. Yeah, some new stuff from Alan Wilson, of course, I think I've already mentioned. About the Ogham, Amorica and Defrobani. Some of which I have to say is a bit different to what I've been saying. But it's very important, right? We have to be prepared to change our position if we need to. That's why it's a position, not a belief. Once we start doing beliefs and that, we're in trouble, okay? So hopefully the screen share is now working. Is it now working? Yes, there's me, there's the things, this card we've done. Right, okay, so let's fly in. I can't remember the order, so let's have a look. Yeah, here's a funny one. How many people have heard of this play? And it's the Birth of Merlin by William Shakespeare and William Rowley.
I didn't know he made a Merlin play.
No, well, this is the thing, the Birth of Merlin, and what I'm going to do, John Griffiths posted this on the Facebook group, which is called Britain's Hidden History, and it's very friendly. It's not the kind of aggressive places you see sometimes on Facebook. You get a chance to discuss things and put ideas up. Anyway, this one's really important. Just the cover work on this old book. I think this book is 1910, I believe. So not ancient, but it is interesting because the thing you see right in the middle there, you see my mouse hopefully, this is a comet. So it's to do with a comet. And it's also to do with the British histories. Because one of the points we're always trying to make, hang on a second, my camera's a bit wonky. Can't do a thing about it. I just have to stand like this the whole time. Or sit like this. Is that before the roughly the 1700s, although William Camden, as Ivion's been writing, I'll do more about next week, was already starting to destroy British history in the early 1600s. And then it really stepped up in the 1700s when the Hanoverians came and everything needed changing. So I'll read what John's written is the best on this. Because he's written something about the play, he's reading it. I've ordered a copy as well, so I'm going to be reading it. Fascinating. So this is the message that John sent. So this book turned up in a local charity shop. A play which is attributed to both William Shakespeare and William Rowley, which itself first saw the light of day in 1662. So long after Shakespeare's death. With comedic elements worked in around a fast-growing baby Merlin and a clown. So there we go. The stuff in red is what you want to take a look at, okay? We got Aurelius Vortiger, which seems to be Vortigern. Uther Pendragon, which would be Uther Pendragon, amongst others. And the play is about the treachery of Vortiger, or Vortigern, and the conflict between the Britons and the Saxons, in which the comet appears and is seen to purport of great changes to the state of Britain. Oh, and I meant to do the welcome. Welcome, everyone. Sorry. I get so excited to dive in. Most people are here every week, which is fantastic. Thank you very much. People come back again. It's got to be a good sign, and it's much appreciated. And we're growing all the time. So the new people, you're very welcome. To cut it down to a couple of sentences, the history we're presented today through our school system and everything, the stuff we learnt when we were in school, is very new. I say very new, it's a couple of 100 years old, most of it. Before that, the authentic, original history of Britain was very, very different. So, primarily looking at people like Wilson and Blackett, although not just them, We're looking to see what the version of history of Britain used to be, and then can we research these places, see if they exist. Let's test it. If they say a certain thing happened at a certain place, let's go to that place. Let's have a look. Let's go to the ancient documents. And I'm going to talk more next week about the forensic method that Wilson and Blackett use. I'll just talk about it now quickly, whereby you get ancient documents and translate them word for word for word, no matter how ridiculous, and then you try and read it, and then you start to go where it takes you, okay? So that's really what it is. Dive in, you'll pick it up. If you haven't seen this before, don't worry. Right, anyway, so what we got here is we got all these old Welsh characters in a Shakespearean play, which incidentally I never see listed in the complete works of Shakespeare, which is bizarre in itself. So, looking at the characters involved here, the dating would be put somewhat earlier than the 562 AD Comet event. Yeah, I seem to have mixed a couple of things up there, but Uther Pendragon, just be aware, is more of a job title than a name. There was an Uther, Victor, father of Arthur I, but then you have, because it means Victor, so then the Pendragon is the High Generals. So Arthur was a Uther Pendragon, so was his father Meirig and Tudrig and Tydfalt and all those. So it's just a bit of confusion there, perhaps. So we got, yes, but it does mention the comet, and I want to say that I've got these new notes. I am working on them. Patricia's helping. Wish this camera wouldn't go wonky. And what we're going to try and do is a book on the comet. The difficulty of Wilson and Blackett's work is that everything intertangles with everything. So on the one hand, the comet is inexorably linked with the migrations to America. And I hope I'm going to talk about Rick Osman a little bit later in this program. Hopefully you've seen those videos. And you can see that if this comet has come in and impacted and devastated Britain, it's also created these sort of tidal waves in the Atlantic. And what we have to remember is that those waves affect both sides. So I hadn't really thought about before. So we got evidence in Britain and Ireland and Scandinavia for devastation and various other things. What about the American side? Is there any evidence there? And it turns out, yes, there is, because there's evidence of extensive flooding from the right period. So this sort of tsunami type thing would have hit very flat areas like the Carolinas and swept through. And you see these things called chevrons, which create sort of an archaeological footprints, if you like, of where this could have happened. So it's difficult to just write a book about the comet without bringing everything else in. And then once you get to the American migrations, you've got the writing and all that. But it's coming along, won't be long, okay? All right, a bit more about this. So perhaps his play records a residue of the folk memory. I would agree, John, there, yeah, of the comet, but which here has become attached to roughly an appropriate, devastating context. So here we go. Thank you for this, John. And he's Act 4, Scene 5. A blazing star appears. You know, what else would you think that is? Flourish, trompe, enter prince. There's the directions. So the red bit. So still this fiery exaltation shoots his frightful horrors on the amazed world. See in the beam that about his flaming ring a dragon's head appears, from out whose mouth two flaming snakes of fire stretch east and west. Now all this ties in very accurately with what seems to be the case with this comet, which I haven't heard of it before, came through about 562 A2 and absolutely devastated Britain. And that's how the Germanic tribes are able to walk into places, and things like the old Roman buildings destroyed, or Roman era, British built, but Roman era buildings. Because you have this crazy idea in the mainstream, it just seems madness, that British people didn't like living in buildings, they couldn't maintain them. It's like just all these lovely buildings and villas and houses everywhere, and they've decided, no, I'd rather sleep in a field in a mud hut, please. It's nonsense. This far better explanation is the comet devastated it. And then you've got things like the vitrified forts in Scotland. We can see the intense heat at work and things like that. Alright, so what we got? Oh, there's loads coming up here. Sorry, there's quite a lot of comments coming through I can't keep up with. I'll have a go in a minute. So, We'll finish off from below the red. Edol. And see, from forth the body of the star, 7 smaller blazing streams directly point at this affrighted kingdom. Not quite sure what that means. 'Tis a dreadful meteor. That seems a bit more obvious. Not sure when I'll get round to reading this through, but when I do, I'll feed back on the general import of the... Oh, sorry. I'm an idiot. That's the bit John's added to the bottom. Sorry, John Griffiths' voice. I've never spoken to John, I don't know what he talks to. I'll give John a Welsh accent. Not sure when I'll get round to reading this through, but when I do, I'll feed back on the general import of the play and what's said to be the meaning of the comet. Thank you, John. Yes, please. I'm going to do the same thing. So there's one to look out for, okay? I just keep emphasising this point again and again and again. Once you go back before 1700 in England, you will see the old British history everywhere. The migrations, the comet, King Arthur, all these things which are now shoved into the myth basket or pigeonhole are all there. And in Wales, you got a revival in the 1790s, 1800s. I say in Wales, it's not quite correct. Mostly Welsh scholars, but you will find are very esteemed, usually Oxford, Cambridge, or lawyers and barristers, and they're in London and places like that, okay? Ah, look at this! There's me with Gareth Icke, who's been hitting the news a lot in the last few weeks. And again, I try and avoid all contemporary politics.
Good or bad reasons?
Well, I would say good reasons. I mean, if... I can't say anything about it, really, because it will get this channel in trouble. Got enough problems dealing with the old history. This is really bugging me now, because I can see the camera's wonky, and I can't seem to do a thing about it. Must be the wire pulling it or something. I'm sorry if I am wonky on the screen. I'm doing my best not to be, but it seems very stubborn about it. Now, anyway, look up Gareth's recent speech to see what he's been up to, hitting the news. But another thing Gareth Icke does is this channel called Iconic. Ickonic, okay, iconic.com. And one of the things we're doing is a series of walks. The first one of the series, first series 2. Series 2, he comes to Wales looking for interesting bits of history and sites. And like I said, he had a chat with Monica, which I haven't seen that one yet, hasn't come out. But on this first one here I am showing Gareth the Lionstone and talking about Two in a Glow. Then, of course, Shepherd turned up and kicked us off, which was a little disappointing. He wasn't exactly Croeso Gymru, and he wasn't really welcome to Wales. I explained they'd come a long way. Please give him a break and all that. But he was having none of it. Turns out he was a hired hand rather than a farmer himself. So I'm going to do just show a little bit of this, because you can... I put the link in the description. So you can get to it. There is a subscription service for the channel. But I think you can watch this one for free. I know I managed to. So I don't think it's...
it's not on any maps at all. But I did manage, because Ross, who we're going to go meet in a sec, he sent me sent you, like a Google image from the top of it, so we could see kind of where we are, which is where we found this church. And so I had a look, and you can see something in a field just around there, so I'm hoping that's it. If it's not, it's not.
I have to say, Gareth's a really nice guy. Really, really nice. Very genuine.
Episode 1, I'll be mainly following the Penrhys pilgrimage route, taking a short detour to talk to historian Ross Broadstock, before trekking to Taff's Well, where I'll be meeting archaeologist Carl Langford. Then finally reaching Llandaff Cathedral, where I'll be joined by historian Alan Cook.
Yeah, we get Carl on as well. So if
Ross,
anyone...
thanks for doing this, mate. I was really...
There's the line, so that's as far as we got. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Alright, is the farm just going to be awkward now, is he? Oh no.
No,
Well, he's giving straight for us, isn't he?
Yeah, he does,
more
yeah.
of a comedy.
He was so aggressive as well. He was just... Gareth was so nice. I'd have been furious. He just...
How you doing, Ross? Hello. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah. Oh.
Gareth, yes.
We tried to set up at the Lionstone, that was the plan, and we got told to clear off by a rather aggressive shepherd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I'll put that on my list of life experiences now. That wasn't expecting to happen to me.
Episode
But,
1,
so when I was a kid, I was really into ancient Egypt. I went to the British Museum, saw Tutankhamun and all that sort of stuff, but no one ever mentioned Wales. I never heard that connection before.
Yeah, and I was always a big fan as well. I went to Egypt a few times. I never hear it till recently, and it's strange because this connection's been known about or talked about since the 1790s. In the 1840s, they were showing how, what the theory was then, that there was an ancient Assyrian language that spread out behind all the Indo-European languages. And because Wales is right on the edge of Europe, never really much migration or invasion, the language has stayed in its most pure form. So it's a language at least very similar to language they used with the hieroglyphs. So, and it just works out very easily, really.
Where did you start with the book in terms of piecing it together? Because I look at hieroglyphic, and to be fair, I look at Welsh language, and I'm like, I haven't got a clue. So where did you begin to piece those things together?
Well, Wilson and Blackett, these guys, the ones who cracked it back in the 90s. And the path they took was the same as the mainstream Egyptologists, like Champollion and Young and those. The first cartouche they had was Ptolemy's,
right.
And they worked that out by other means. It's on the Rosetta Stone. So they're desperately looking for a word. They
All right, okay. Well, anyway, I suggest this is Gareth's programme on Gareth's channel. So hopefully you watch the rest of that. Follow the links. Oops, a daisy. Hang on. And I've frozen apparently, so I need to get myself working. I know. I can do this. Luckily, I'm used to doing my crummy equipment now. Yay, there we go. Nothing wrong with the equipment, by the way. It's just the... It's not crummy, it's just the USB port's not very good.
Good word.
Crummy, a good word. Anyway, so there you get an idea. Alright, so it's good to get some recognition. People are enjoying it. So there we go, and a few people have been up there and all that kind of stuff. So that was good. And say hopefully Gareth, he's a bit tied up at the moment because his wife's having a baby. Any time now, it could be today even. So we've had to postpone that a little bit, but we'll come on and have a chat about what he's been doing with the history. Very interesting series because he's going around really showing history that you wouldn't see normally on the telly, as it were. I'm sure everyone knows Gareth Icke, son of the famous David Icke, and this is the book we're talking about. And I have more good news on this because I've been talking for seems like ages about. The book Cymroglyphics also being published in America, and that's now with the printers. Hooray! So we're going to have American editions of that in America, so people over there can order copies without having to import them.
The letters for colour or something.
No, it's going to have British spelling. Yeah, good point, Arnie. Thank you for that. You asked, they're going to take out the U from colour and things like that. Right, okay, now here's some funky stuff. Thank you to Gary Taylor for these. And what he's done, I've taken a little bit of a gap this week from talking too much about this book, where Jesus is buried. There is loads more to talk about in there. I was going to, but so a slight change this week, because we've got so much to cover. If you're new to this area, Wilson and Blackett and all that, it's like the whole history of the world being redone. So some channels are struggling for material. With this one, you just cannot physically cram it in every week. I make as many videos as I can, almost every day. Plus these, and we're doing our best. Oh, you can't quite see the top corner there. It says, Jesus on the rampage.
What?
So he storms the temple and seizes control of Jerusalem. So Gary's taken some of the themes from the book where Jesus is buried. A big part of that book is talking about the historical character of Jesus, the politics, and how the Bible really tells us what happened. It's very different to the sort of version we get taught in church. And it's weird. It's one of these things where one of the great things, I mean, it's Wilson and Blackett, but particularly Alan Wilson, has a certain level of genius to look at something everyone's looked at and then see what no one else saw. This is what genius really is. And you never quite read the Bible the same again. It's like when you read the Joseph story and all about the situation with how the tithes were taken and the country was run by the Hyksos before the Exodus. All that. Once you've read it again, and you think, how is this possible? It's like with these stories from the New Testament. We've all read these. We've been brought up with these stories. They seem so different. One of the things in here, another one, must go back, sorry. As you have this situation where reading between the lines and sometimes on the lines in the New Testament, you can see that when Jesus goes to the money changers and turns over the tables and causes that scene, what this actually marks is the beginning of an attempt at an armed insurrection to capture the city, and going for the crucial places first, like the temple. And it's actually in the Bible, it tells them, get their swords, this modern idea of sort of non-aggression or whatever is not apparent in this part of the story. So Gary's made these cartoons, which are really colourful and bring the thing to life. And in another part of the book, so can I look at the comments here? The other thing, another comment in the book is what Wilson and Blackett explain is that there is a staged event. It's not quite the same as you get in Holy Blood, Holy Grail, or the Da Vinci Code, all those kind of books, which are a bit of a distraction, which is probably why they got such international acclaim and millions of them all over the media everywhere. Whereas a book like this won't get any coverage. This actually has I've found, unfortunately, the stuff that gets loads of mainstream coverage on TV and radio and the press is this sounds terrible, but the more rapid and instant and widespread the coverage, unfortunately, the less likely it is to be a genuine story. I know, it's awful, isn't it? But that seems to be the way it works. So one of the things that the book explains is the politics and how a deal was negotiated to effectively get Jesus released and to get his son released, and so that they could then escape. So this is like, these cartoons are really quite cool how he's done this. So part of the story is that Judas, who's the brother of Jesus, must appear as a traitor. And the name Judas has become synonymous with traitor and betraying people ever since. And this book shows that maybe actually he was providing a crucial part of the story, and quite the opposite of being the traitor. He sort of sacrificed himself for the overall good. So there we go. It's kind of things like that you'll see in the books. So I know lots of people in this group have already ordered their copies. Thank you very much. Sales are going pretty well, so very pleased with that. And if you haven't got a copy yet, go to the website. It's also on Amazon and eBay, but the website, if you can, please. It says in the description, cameraglyphics.com. So, right, another thing we're looking at here, just quickly, Matt, Knack, Net, Bunny, Todd. So that's about Matthew. I should know all these, shouldn't I? So what we get then is description. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago about what clearly seems to be an Essene lifestyle for Jesus and his group of followers and how they lived, their lifestyle. And that was an inner circle and an outer circle. And there'd be very few people on the inner circle who would have known the full story of what was going on with the deal and the exchange of prisoners and all this kind of stuff that was happening. Peter, for one, does not seem to have been aware of what was happening. You can tell by some of his actions, his clumsy oath actions. And then later on, of course, you've got Paul, Saul Paul, who desperately tries to become the new leader and get into this inner circle, what you might call the 12 disciples, but he's not admitted. And this is where a lot of the politics and problems start, where Saul can't work his way in, infiltrate, and so he goes persecuting, he's killing lots of Christians. And then finally this road to Damascus where, hey, I'm on your side now, trust me, honest gov kind of thing. So that's the kind of way we're looking at it. Let's read some of the comments here anyway, because there's quite a lot of them. All land on Britain is maintained owned by the Crown. Yes, landowners only lease it. Forces card, MOD card. It's quite right, David there, yeah, talking about land usage rights. The Queen owns all the land in Britain. Might come as a shock to people. I think it's the same in Canada as well. I think the Queen owns, I don't know, it's like 20% of the world's land, some crazy, ridiculous number. So even if you bought a freehold, you don't own the land, all right?
The world's land.
You just bought the rights to, some of the countries are big. Canada's huge.
It's Canada.
Well, the land, it's quite complicated. Yes, that's right, yeah. Like Britain, she owns all the land in Britain. So you've got a freehold, you own a field, you own the freehold on the field. You license it from the Queen, effectively. So there we go. So Judas was the most advanced disciple. There we go. Canada is still Crown land. Yeah, I thought it was. Thank you, Patricia. Right, okay. So No, the Crown is not the Queen. Well, it's the Queen at the moment, I think. She's the head of it. But you can explain that, perhaps. Finky stingers. Okay, so there you go. Right, now, here's something completely different, all right? This is, and now, as Kenny Everett used to say, for something completely different. And I'm going to do a little bit of introduction. I'm not going to show the whole video. Thank you very much to Marcel for sending me this. I'm going to whiz through to get... Well, actually, no, let's take our time going through these. It's a slightly different show tonight. Normally, by the way, what we're trying to do is the news items, things like this that are cropped up during the week, and then a big feature at the end. I try and get a clip of Alan Wilson in and stuff like that. So, 1970, before 1974, the map of Britain looked completely different. The counties were the ancient counties with the ancient names. And then there was a complete change for reasons I've never really understood or really looked into. It just wrecked the map. Some of the changes weren't that bad in Wales. England, it was a complete disaster. I mean, they rewrote the map of England completely. Things like Somerset, you start to get places like Avon appearing. And then you get a lot of these city, you know, like you got... I don't know what the hell it's called, Borough or something of Manchester, rather than Lancashire, rather than Albion and Lancashire, it gets broken up. And instead of having Yorkshire and the ridings, you get these, Humberside gets invented and all these different places. And it's crucial, especially for a group like ours, where you're looking at the history, because so much, you'll notice following the programmes, so much of what you can find out about a place is in the names. It's crucial. The names help you to go back. Not only that, they give you your identity and your history. So this campaign only talks about 1974 changes, but there's been a lot more changes since then. For example, speaking about my own area, where I've lived about half my life, I mean all my life, there's Glamorgan. Glamorgan, great and ancient county of Glamorgan. And then, I don't know when, I guess it must have been the 1974 reforms. It got split into three. So it became Mid Glamorgan, West Glamorgan, South Glamorgan. And since then, it's been changed and changed and changed. I can't even keep up with what it all is at the moment. I live in RCT.
But we're in the Vale.
No, we're not in the Vale. That's Neil's joke. My cousin says we live in the Vale.
I remember we got a letter a while ago that said the Vale of Glamorgan.
No. My cousin Neil teases me. If out there, Neil, thank you again for looking after us the other week. Yeah, no, we're not in the Vale. The Vale is the posh bits. That's your south coast. There's Cardiff. Cardiff's actually Cardiff Metropolitan County, whatever they call the things. But all the nice bits like Cowbridge and down on the south coast, that's the Vale. So when my cousin Neil is teasing me, he calls himself a Valley boy and I'm a Vale boy because that's where the posh people live. And I'm all soft. All right? But now we live in RCT, it's down to Rondicon and Taff. Just across the way then we've got Borough of Bridgend, I think it's called. Then the other way we've got Caerphilly District Borough, and there's like Torvine. It's complete dog's dinner and a mess. Now what these really are is administrative centres. And if they want to have those to run a place, fine. I've got no problem with administrative centres. Call them what you like. But the address, the thing that appears on the map, should still be the counties. So if you look at all the books I produce, such as this one, if you look and I put the address in there, it should be on every book. It is, I always put the address. You'll see, there you go. The address is there. Glamorgan. I actually put Wales on as well, which technically is not a postal address either. But I think everyone knows where Wales is. So my address on this is Glamorgan, Wales. It's not RCT UK, which is like 5 letters in a row. So there you go. Anyway, so what this person, Pam, this wonderful person, Pam, has done. Let's go full screen here. Let's get this up and running. Okay, I'll just show you the first few minutes. And I put the link. You can watch for free. Get an idea, okay?
The counties are part of our history, our identity, our culture, so they're very important. Every person in England should know about the history of our country where we live.
In 1974, the Local Government Act came into effect, and essentially that destroyed in many parts of our country the historic identity of our counties.
The historic counties were swept away. In 1974, there were changes writ large, and it just completely altered the map of England.
Wales and Scotland are totally confused. They got rid of all the Welsh counties and made new ones, Powys and all the others. Scotland was also changed. Not a single person wanted any changes, so they made us. The change was forced on people. They destroyed the counties by forcing everybody to have the new names.
What you've also got to factor in is a lot of resentment that from the original times that these changes were brought in from 1974, and a lot of people still harbour that resentment. It's a problem that's not going to go away.
Well, I've always been in favour of restoring the old county boundaries. It seemed to me a pernicious and pointless move, which the country was never consulted on. I think there's very few people who justify the change. As an historian, my chief objection is that it's once again eroding our connections with the historical past.
People used to define themselves by where they grew up or lived, but with the arrival of giant bureaucratic authorities, they became defined by who provided local services. Nonsense names sprouted up.
Cumbria has not always existed. It was created against the people's will in 1974 and forced on the people all over the country, same as all the other changes. Researching what happened in the past is very important so that it can't happen again. Parliament can no longer bully ordinary people and make them give up the history. They should have road signs telling people which county they're actually in, just as everybody knew before 1974 and took for granted. Today it's becoming unknown because Edward Heath's government forcibly removed all the signs and told us we had to use only the new counties from then on. I don't think the changes in 1974 were admin only because they sent bullies all over the country to force everybody to comply. For my petition, I want 2 million names on it so that Parliament has to debate the subject. Otherwise, you just forget about it and we lose important and valuable history and culture forever, which is totally pointless. It's like building on Hadrian's Wall and then pretending there's never been a wall there. And young people in the future would believe that as well.
All right. So well done, Pam. I'm very impressed. I didn't know anything about this until Marshall Abraham sent it through to me, so thank you very much for that. And the link is below, and there's the petition you can sign, and you can watch it. The whole video is about 10 minutes. I have watched it all. Very good and worth watching. Why not? Have a look. I just picked up quite a few comments on this then. So David Church asked, he's born in East Glamorgan. Well, I assume you mean East Glamorgan Hospital, because there's no county of East Glamorgan, which was less than a mile from where I'm sitting right now. So that's part of RCT. I know someone else said they still put West Glamorgan on their mail. But don't forget, West Glamorgan is a new name. It's just Glamorgan is all you need. And I noticed Thomas Ellis is saying that the Welsh historical counties are a stupid thing for an English gentry. Now, I'm not quite sure how far back and which counties is referring to. But if you go back to the very old ones, when we had Merioneth and all these type of things, you will find that they are very significant, very important. Because originally we had 12 Welsh counties, and those 12 counties correspond to the 12 tribes of Israel. And the county badges and everything relate to the 12 tribes insignia as detailed in the Bible. And then you have the 13th, not really a county, with a point in the middle, Gura, the place of the people, Gura. Anyway, they created the full country, if you like. So they do have an importance. I don't know as much about the English counties, but I mean, it's clear they're very important. I used to live... my two main flatmates, I had three, one each year, but I had one for 2 years, but two of my flatmates I had in university. One was from Middlesbrough, which went from being Yorkshire to I think it became Humberside, something like that. And then I had another flatmate who was from Weston-super-Mare, which became Avon and stopped being Somerset. So, I mean, it all gets messed up, doesn't it? It's a right mess. So, Caroline says, I live in the East Riding of Yorkshire, not North Humberside. Yeah, I mean, these names like North Humberside and all that, and Avon and all this, they're just nonsense. Avon's a particularly funny one I quite like, because, as anyone in this group probably knows already, is that the name Avon's quite amusing, because it would seem that when whoever's renamed it, the Saxons or whatever, turned up, and pointing, what's this, and the Welsh are saying, or the British are saying Avon, because Avon is Welsh for river, and they're going, it's the Avon, it's the River Avon, so it's the river, but there you go. So well done, Pam, good for that. So please have a look more into it, see what you think. I mean, it's a kind of contemporary issue, but hey, it directly affects what we're doing. So here we go. Right, I just wanted to mention this. I put up a series of 3 videos this week. Quite a few people have watched them, although less than half the number of people usually watch the Sunday show, so I'm going to give it another mention now, because it might not have appealed to you. You might think, I'm not really into the American stuff, and this evidence, always a bit weird, never heard of Rick Osman, and I'm not going to bother. If they're quite short, okay, so if you haven't watched any at all, watch the third one, please. Very, very important. It cuts to the core of everything that we do, and it's this evidence destroyed, where you can see it a bit easier in America, because he's a wonderful speaker as well, and storyteller, so it's good just listen to him, is what he shows there is how and why and when, the whole set, that the history really got changed, what happened. And one of the key points which really struck home to me is all tied in with Manifest Destiny. And one of the key points was that the original claim by Columbus and then the faked claim by Elizabeth I to these lands was based on terra nullius. It's a proclamation by the Pope. They called it empty lands, but what they meant was empty of Christians. So if the land didn't have Christians in it, you could claim it. Whoever turned up first, stick your flag in the ground, it's yours, okay? So this is where it gets very political. I like this example because it's nice and clear. So if you got in there and you plunked your flag down, you're claiming it, his resources, great, goes Michigan, copper, and we go, hang on, have I just gone dead again? I just heard that bubbling sound. Gee whiz, it's annoying when this happens. Hang on. I'm very sorry about this. I'll keep talking because you can hear me okay, usually. Yep, okay. So what do you have then? A situation where you're about to make a fortune, all right? You've got your whole thing set up. You've claimed the territory, it's yours, you've got your flag in the ground, there's no Christians there. And then as you move along, and say we get a little bit further down the road, and you start laying railroads, or railways as we call them in Britain, and you come along the corner and it's like, look at that over there. There's a great big cliff with a massive cross etched into it. And over there we just found a Bible, and over there we just found some religious artifacts with ancient written, Welsh, but for the sake of this, doesn't really matter what we call it. I guess this area did have Christians in it. Or if you've got Native Americans, this isn't just a European thing or just a British thing or a Welsh thing. The Native Americans as well, they come to you and tell you stories. Hey, guess what? We had white men coming over a long time ago, and we have Christian ceremonies, and we've got our own version of the Bible, and it's not really what you want to hear, is it? So what do you think would happen in a situation like that? If you're under enormous pressure to build this railroad, it's your land based on no Christians, and someone finds some Christian artifacts. Are you going to go, what a shame. Right, lads, put the tools back, give the land back. The Native Americans can have their land back, and we're going to have to go back and I don't know, just hope for some crappy job back in Britain. No, of course not. You can destroy the evidence. And I love this example because it really brings it home, because it's places like Britain, it's a bit more difficult to see the motivation. And I have to say, I still struggle a bit to work out why is such a concerted attempt. I mean, the bottom line is that the royal family, their claim is totally undermined by what we're showing on this work. Because you can show there's a royal family that predates them by, I don't know, 2,000 years or something, or at least 1,500 years if we're being generous, if we take the current royal dynasty back to 1066, although there's been quite a few changes since then, as we know. But even going back to 1066, if you've got another royal dynasty that goes back to 500 BC, you're still 1,500 years behind the curve. And the current Saxe-Coburg-Goethers, aka Windsors, are 2,500 years behind. So, 2,200 years, 3, something like that. So it does create a problem, and you could argue that their whole claim becomes undermined. My view is I don't think people are that bothered. I don't think you make any difference at all, and they really shouldn't worry. And as I keep emphasising, I have no political motivations or desires to change or do anything with this information, but this seems to be why it's so sensitive. I mean, I really don't think it's going to be somebody who's going to turn up and say, hey, I'm the great-great-grandson of Arthur and I want to be king. It's just inconceivable to me. There you go. This is why this is different. This is why it was very, very sensitive back in the 1700s when we had the Hanoverians who were a right shower. You look at any of the Georges and that, they were a disaster. They were gluttons. They had what they call morganic marriages, where they had common law wives next to their royal wives. The first two didn't bother learning English. They spent hardly any time in the country. George III was going mad. Most people in Britain were very anti-royal. There's a lot of nationalistic fervour. It was the revolutionary season was getting going. America just declared independence from the crown, or was in the process of declaring from the Georges. It was building up towards the French Revolution. So you can imagine people... Oh, good grief, this is annoying tonight. What's going on?
Oh, come on, stop freezing.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll keep talking. So you can imagine that there's a lot of nervousness in Britain and a feeling that, this national fervour has to be got rid of. So it makes sense to just delete the history and forget you were British. What does puzzle me is that this seems to be still continuing. Like we see it there earlier with the county names changing and history being revised again. I mean, at the moment we got another round of history rewriting, what's rather abusively called woke, where our history is being rewritten again. And what amazes me is the number of people who can see this happening and are very upset about it, and then the response is to fervently and passionately defend the last rewrite, which was done in the sort of 1700s and Victorian times. The heroic Anglo-Saxon conquest, and English are Germanic and the Brits are Celts, and they want to try and defend that narrative, even though it's a false narrative that was created for political reasons. So somehow you have to kind of bounce back twice. Anyway, there you go. Slight detour there. As I go into that, we need bigger bows. I'll put up the link for Pab's website. Oh yeah, I don't know the website. I haven't put that up. What I have put up is the link to the video. I don't think you can work it out from there, perhaps. Right, okay. Arthur's needed. Oh, Arthur's needed. Will never. Yes. So a couple of people know more about this county thing than I did. Yeah, I just found out about that from my email from Marshall, so I can't help much on that one. Okay, so please have a look at those videos. Obviously, you can see them. They only went up the last few days. If you haven't had a chance yet, I think you'll enjoy them because he's a really good talker. Hey, talking of good talkers, here we go. Here's the king of good talkers.
When we used to go to the library.
See me? Oh. Why did I suddenly stop then? That's weird. Sorry about this, folks.
It froze on us. What's happened?
I don't know why that would suddenly freeze. Sorry, I was going to... God, we're on all the technical issues tonight, aren't we?
Watch it on Movie Maker or something.
Yeah, like a no... I'll have to open it again, yeah. All right, just bear with me a second, folks. We've got Alan Wilson. I just created a new one. Here we go. All right.
When we used to go to the library, we'd go to the reference section.
Sorry.
What
happened is I loaded it up into the PowerPoint. Right. Alan was... we're talking about libraries, okay? Just part of our chat. So here we go. And I've slightly muted some of the language, all right? But in case anyone's offended, which I don't see why you would be, but anyway... I might have missed a bit. He's in a fruity mood. Got a bit passionate on this one, so please enjoy this. About 9 minutes.
When we used to go to the library, we'd go to the reference section. We weren't from the university. It was a public library, but who were you? You know? And you're getting reference books out, and you're all very worried. You know?
The Library of Wales is still a little bit like that. You need to show
the
credentials.
National Library, aye.
I went to Cardiff University a couple of years ago because you know the Odyssey book, the story I did about the Egyptian going around the world.
Aye.
Well, that's just about done. That'll be out the next few weeks, and I thought I'd better get a copy of the Odyssey.
Aye.
You know, just have another read of it. And you know, Cardiff University did not have one copy in all its outlying branches. Not one. There's a couple of commentaries I could get from the academic library.
Oh, but the Cardiff Library.
Yeah, I went to the central one.
Yeah.
The new one they built in the Hayes.
Any good?
6 floors. There's 50 copies of David Beckham's autobiography, if you want that. Fantastic. There's loads of pop culture and nonsense, but no serious books. And if you go up to I think it's the 5th floor, the 6th floor, they have the academic floor, it's called.
Yeah.
They're non-fiction.
Right.
And not a single, not one. Not one copy of the Odyssey. There's hardly anything there. This is mostly autobiographies and stuff. That's all we're getting, really.
It used to be a prize library.
Yeah,
they thought at first it would be they thought it'd be the National Library of Wales.
Well, it kind of was in a way, wasn't it? Unofficially.
And they were building it up.
Yeah.
And had new buildings planned and everything. And then they put the bloody thing up in Aberystwyth.
It's a political decision again.
Oh, it's the North Wales bunch. They've always been a fucking pain in the South Wales got industry.
I'm had to get my bleeper button out for this one.
I mean, how the hell can people go from Cardiff and Swansea and Newport and the valleys, where 9 out of 10 people live, 130 miles to bloody library?
Middle of nowhere, yeah.
It's stupid.
Very strange.
Where's the British Library? In England?
Yeah, middle of London, yeah.
Middle of fucking... It's not up in Bradford, is it?
No, it's right in the middle.
Not down in Somerset somewhere.
Yeah.
It's bloody daft.
No, but Cardiff Library is very, very attractive new building, but it doesn't have serious books, non-academic books.
Aye, they were dumping them. There was a...
Oh, don't tell me this.
No, there was a skip outside the library when we started off, and they'd find a whole skip full of books.
Heartbreaking, isn't
it? Nobody's read that for 10 years, so they had a new librarian in.
I couldn't get Velikovsky either.
And so this skip, and people were going down, climbing in the skip and looking for books, taking them up. That's how we got some of our books.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then the next week there'd be another skip, big bloody skip full of books.
A lot of them are academic history books and things.
Oh, aye. Anything really academic. Well, nobody's borrowed that for 10 years. Nobody's borrowed that for 5 years. So you had a guy in there who's going to be the new man. Well, nobody's read that for 5 years. Throw it out.
Let's get more crap fiction in.
Aye. You're a fucking idiot. And some of us protested, like the council. We had Labour Party was running everything. Sorry, I've always been a socialist myself. The gigs that they were putting up for election, and they couldn't control anything. Cardiff Library was wrecked.
Well, no, it's a beautiful visual place.
Aye.
There's some nice children's play areas and all that kind of thing.
Fuck all books.
But no serious books.
Nothing.
You couldn't do much research there.
Oh,
well, not my experience anyway. I've been there a few times.
They thought it was going to be the National Library of Wales. That's what they were building it up, see. And it was damn good for the references, but it's no good now.
No, things like Velikovsky and people like that you can't get. I managed to find a couple of copies eventually, but they were knackered and pages missing.
Yeah, but the people working there get promoted. They start off stacking shelves and they're promoted upwards. So they're not intellectually enough to do the job. You know what I mean? I've been here 30 years, yes. Yeah, but that's not the qualification you need. You need somebody with an intellect, just to know, you know.
I have to say, some of the staff were very good in the academic
They're very
sector.
kind and good, but they're not very bright. And the bloke running it was an absolute fucking idiot. So yeah, we got what we could get out of it at the time. I'm glad we did.
I think you were just in time as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what you've done wouldn't be possible. Huh?
Oh, no. Because I went down there and years later and I asked for books that, we don't have that anymore. Worked for 10 or 15 years, they threw it out.
Yeah, but they're not... Hang on, I'll have a cup of tea while we're at it.
I mean, it was insanity. They appointed a new librarian. He was going to do the job. And that's what he did.
It's just what numbers, I suppose, is it?
I don't know. I don't remember his bloody name now, but he wrecked the place. That book hasn't been out for 15 years. Check it out.
Never mind his historic value or...
No, and there was a big bench on the side of the library. They put all the books there they were throwing out, so you could take them if you wanted.
Just keep going back all the time?
Oh, we were back and forth there. I was looking for little gems if we could find them. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that man wrecked that library. He wrecked it.
Mm. Oh, I'd love to know what's held all together now in
Fuck off.
in Aberystwyth.
No.
Oh, they got stuff stashed away there.
Oh, aye. But I mean...
You can't get to it.
Who lives in Aberystwyth?
You can't get to it anyway, that's the problem.
Well, yeah, but the point
You
is...
have to ask, you have to get appointments, you can't...
That's right, you've got to make an
notes,
appointment.
you can't borrow anything.
That's right.
Yeah, tell you what I'm trying to get hold of is a copy of Reg Stewart's book.
Aye.
You know, the Welsh Pharaohs?
Yeah.
God. They reckon they've got one copy in the National Library of Wales, but I can't get hold of it. I've offered to drive up there just so I can see it.
Who printed it?
I don't know. He's just printed it himself.
Printers may have one or two.
He did it himself, didn't he? Oh, I could try the printers, that's a good idea.
They might have one.
It's a long time ago now, mine, isn't it? It's 40, 50 years ago. 40 years ago.
Well, you know, books like that should be available.
It's only 30 pages.
Right.
It would take them 10 minutes to scan it and put it on the internet for free.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Who's got a copy? The National Library got it.
On their website it says yes.
Oh, go on.
But I've been sending emails trying to get it, and other people have as well, and we can't see it.
Why?
Don't know.
They won't let you see it.
Well, they say it's available, but it's not available when you try. I don't understand.
What's the
I don't have no idea. But you know, it's the one you mentioned early on in Hieroglyphs. He's Reg.
Oh, aye, yeah.
Remember Reg, the old railway guy?
Aye,
who,
that's right. Yeah.
He got the ball rolling a bit, didn't he?
He did. Yeah. He certainly stimulated us a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think we've done a marvellous job.
Yeah, well, credit where it's due, isn't it? I like to promote Reg's book as well. I'd like to see it anyway.
We've done a marvellous job, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, is it not possible you could advertise, like you know the title?
Yeah, I think it's called the Welsh Pharaohs or something like that.
Aye, any chance, see we can get...
Well, I've been asking around, loads of people are trying now. We've been looking for a couple of years, and it's just... There must be copies out there, I would imagine.
We always went to the library, read it. If we could take it out, we took it out and put it back.
Yeah.
We never kept it.
And then they chucked them in the bin.
And then they chucked them in the bin.
Can't win, can you?
I tell you what,
You do the decent
people
thing.
going down there and climbing into the skip on top of books, looking for books. Well, I used to go there, finding books.
Yeah, no, I do it if I...
Have you ever heard that anywhere else?
Disgusting, isn't it?
They appointed a new librarian.
Yeah.
And he was going to alter and update everything.
Well, he's done that all right.
All modernised and...
Yeah, it's very modern.
Yeah.
No decent old books there. It was
No books worth having.
I mean, I haven't asked, but I'd be very surprised if you could get any copies of books by, Reverend Morgan or Yolo, people like that.
The trouble is they appointed a man to the job who was an idiot.
Was he a Welsh idiot or an English idiot?
I'm not sure. I think he was English. I wouldn't like to say.
Yeah, that doesn't really matter anyway.
No, they never
Welsh
appoint,
people do.
you never appoint a manager in Wales.
Not usually, do they?
No. I'm glad I got out of it.
Yeah, so there you go. There's Alan Wilson. Any more of that next week on different subjects again next week. We covered quite a lot of ground, and hopefully I'll record soon. A lot of people. Surprising number of people have asked me to record a boxing chat. I know there's plenty of people on the channel won't like that. when we talk about old 1930s boxes. That kind of boxes. Anyway, the important points being raised there, that it's great to see I saw some of the comments, thank you. It's great to see Alan's is good form. Yeah, his brain's still fine. And what I find, and you'll find as you watch these chats, the more time I'm there, he gets better and better, and he comes back to life. So get the TV off and get talking and asking questions is all he needs, and he'd be fine. All right. So we're working on more of that now. The library's closing. It is a form of censorship. It is poor. And the other thing we're finding more and more through supplying of books is being a small supplier like us with Amazon, which is where everything's going. Everything's going to Amazon. People just go to Amazon. I mean, it's just remarkable. And the pressure they put on us is just ridiculous. I mean, at the end of the day, you got me and Angie, right? So Angie does most of setting up the books. In fact, nearly all of that. I have to go to the post office, drop them off at the sorting office, and have a look through. And it's the two of us doing it. So, I mean, we are going to need some holidays and days off, and you don't want to be every day going to the post office. And you'll be amazed how much pressure Amazon puts on us to get everything out within 2 days and stuff like that. And it's like, well, what we're going to do is change to twice a week. We send books out on Tuesdays and Fridays, so no one's waiting more than 3 to 4 days. And we got other things to be doing. But you start getting these warnings on your account and flags so that you can get delisted and all this kind of thing. It's like, this is ridiculous. It's like this tyranny. And we've had things with customers and stuff. It's all the customers are great, by the way. You go on Amazon, look at our feedback. It's excellent. It's brilliant. Everyone's really happy. Same on eBay. But you can see how this works. This quite cynical system where the libraries are closing. And by the way, if you try and get an unlisted book from the library, the first thing you do is how much it costs on Amazon. Go and see what the librarians do. I've seen it done. And they'll put a request in, they'll see how much it is on Amazon, they'll buy it. So Amazon are very quickly getting a monopoly. So, but people, a lot of people, just obsessed with Amazon. As far as they're concerned, that is shopping. So what we've had to do, because the charges and the penalties, well, not so much penalties, but the charges and things we have to do just to keep Amazon happy. The books cost a few pounds more on Amazon, and still people prefer to order through Amazon. I don't know. We don't make a few pound more, by the way. We lose all that. I think we're probably breaking even. Anyway, a couple of other things. Chris E made a good comment saying that we need to start putting these videos onto another platform. I think that's what he meant by Odyssey. So yes, look out for that. We have got accounts on... I can't remember them all now. We're going to set up a Rumble one. We're on a couple of other things because YouTube... I don't know. You're watching every word you say, aren't you? You say the wrong thing. Next thing you know, we're cancelled. And as people know, I think Alan Wilson, that was being cancelled since before they invented the cancel culture. He's been under a lot of pressure and everything since it started, since the 80s, really.
When we used to go...
Oh, it's funny, it's working now, isn't it? So please bear that in mind. Another comment, Andrew Whelan said he went up to the Merthyr Library. Merthyr Library used to be fantastic. You go back to the times of the coal miners and all that. I mean, way back. And I've heard stories about it going way back. One of the best libraries in Britain, in the world, probably. And Andrew was saying, Andrew Whelan, he went up there recently, upstairs, and the reference section was closed. Not open at all. So what's going to happen? More and more, we become more and more reliant on internet, and that's becoming tighter and tighter controlled. And the supply of books, you want to buy a book, that's becoming more and more focused to Amazon. And I'm really not sure what the solution is. I don't know. We just have to keep on trying, all right? Keep on trying, but please try not to just use Amazon unless you really have to. For whatever you want, whether it's books, wherever you're buying something, try and get it somewhere else if you can, is all I would say. So, I wonder... Amazon probably monitoring this conversation now. All right, well, knock him down a bit. And I'm sure they're owned by the same people who own Google, who own YouTube. And so we've got to get backups in place. What can you do? If the switch gets flicked one day and all this disappears, what are you all going to do about it? Which one of the reasons, I haven't said this for a long time, very important to make friends within the group. Not just with me, it's great. I mean, I get loads of messages. I made loads of friends through this. Best friends I have been made through this kind of work. Wonderful people, intelligent, friendly. It's been great, okay? But people need to make friends with each other and meet in person, in real, in highest res. And oh God, this is annoying me tonight. And then, hang on one sec. 1 second. It's just. Keep talking, Ross. Keep talking. So that you know these people and you can go around and see them and you can talk to them and you got each other's phone numbers and addresses and stuff like that. So you can get back to. So if the internet goes down, you can still do it. All right. Why is it still dark? Come on, should be fine now. Why have I disappeared? It doesn't help having a million things open, Ross. That would help things. God, it was all so professional, wasn't it? Yes, it was, Ross. Hang on. Why is it going on? It's on. The lights are on. Camera's working. There's no one home. Great. That's a problem. What's the problem there? It doesn't like... sorry, one more go. I have to go to plan B. Think of plan B. Quick. We don't have a camera. Right, one last try. Sorry, folks. Plan B. I mean, plan B.
Just go to full screen without you.
Full screen without me?
Yeah.
So what exactly are people going to see?
Well, just whatever you want
Aha.
on the screen.
Oh, right. Not full screen me. Full screen.
Without you.
Without me.
Well, we don't have a camera.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
I have to do something about this. Right, okay. Right, I should jump back in. Sorry about that. Anyway, almost... Right, there is one more thing I want to cover. Right, hang on, more comments there. Right, I buy books off G. Wells. Go on, some suggestions. Come on, let's have it. We need to find books and get copies. Yeah, what I was saying is if the computers and everything go off, you need hard copies. Your notes and things like that, please print them off and keep them in files. Paper's pretty cheap these days, and even printer ink is not so bad. And save hard physical copies. Like this. Which is fantastic, because this is part of the notes that Wilson and Blackett have given me to make into books, and it's full of great stuff. And if this is only on computer, or only on those old 4.5-inch floppy disks and all that kind of stuff, where would we be? You know, the other stuff, those little square plastic disc things, where do I find a disc reader for those? You know, I've got VHS tapes from them. I've got to find a VHS recorder or get them converted. What you can't beat is things printed on bits of paper, alright? Alright, you can carve them onto stone, but, you know, it's quite a lot of work. Right, okay, so I was going to say a quick one, because it is running a bit late. I don't want to go into an awful lot of detail, but I do want to do this, because one of my real bugbears is Ogham. And I did promise on the title I talk about Ogham and Defrobani and Amorica, okay? So they're kind of related. And it's part of the notes I've got, which don't naturally fit in anywhere to the books. So let's put them in here. Because we are going to do a history of the writing. Now, one of the things, if you... it's all I've got here, actually, to show you. The kind of fun reading I get. Come on, I know you're here, I know you're here. Yes, here it is. And again, this is listed in the show notes thing, in the description. Here is... Let's go to the top. Hang on. I don't know if you have to be a member to get this. I'm a member, it's just one of these academic group things. And I get sent loads of technical papers. It's just free, you know, so you should be able to sign up. I think the link I've given you, you should be able to get this particular paper free, okay? So what this is all about, all very flash, quite recent, 2015. A partial reading of the stones, a comparative analysis of Irish, Scottish, Ogham pillar stones. And the reason I'm showing this by Claire Jean Connolly, it's a well done paper, it's very academic, someone in America. And the reason I'm showing it is, what I don't want to do is set up what's called a straw man argument, which I'm sure you know what that is, but I'm going to go through it again anyway for those who might not be sure. And to make my argument, I present the other side's argument in a very poor way, full of holes, like a straw man, when it's just going to fall apart. So say, what he's trying to say is blah, 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 and I go, like, as you can see, it's rubbish, and just tear it apart. And I think people think Alan Wilson does that sometimes when he says what he does about academics. So by complete coincidence, and this was sent to me a few days ago, although the paper's 6 years old. I just got sent one. please have a look. You can see the whole paper yourself. So produced in America. Master's degree in anthropology. Interesting. In anthropology, that's the study of societies and groups of humans, isn't it? I think. Anyway. So page 22 is the one I want. So you can read all about it. It's all very academic. Looks great. I just want to give a little idea, a review of research problem. If you're not aware, a lot of these stones have those marks, like tally marks chiseled into the sides of the stone or the corners, not the main face. Sometimes on the main face, but generally they're around the edges. All right? And I'm going to talk maybe next week. I'm going to get it back on for an interview with Robin Heath, because he's found one which he's pretty certain is... I thought the camera had gone again. Phew. Which he's pretty certain is recording astronomical things, like number of times the sun moves around and the moon, all that kind of stuff. Okay, but the general belief is that it's Irish. So even though you see them in Wales and places like that, it's Irish, and they've spread out from Ireland, and it must be Irish writing, because they can see the other writing on the stones, you see. So what this means is, as the knock-on effect then of Culbran, the ancient British writing, which is well recorded, can be said not to exist. It's all nonsense. It's all this Irish Ogham stuff. All right, so there's tons of stuff on this paper. I admit I haven't read all of it, although I did read nearly all of it. I read nearly all this. So I'm just going to jump forward to page 22. Hang on. This gives you an idea. So they've invented this letter system. This is quite useful. But this is one of many. They've got many possible alphabets, all right? And the problem is they don't work. This is a slight hitch, because they don't translate to any language, and also you seem to get different alphabets in different places. And you think, well, Alan's got to be making this up. This can't be right. I mean, how can this be true? So they got different examples. The dating's all over the place as well. There we go. There's a distribution. So for some reason, it seems to be the vast majority are in the south of Ireland. Then the west of Wales and southeast of Wales. How many have been destroyed or lost? Who knows, right? Who knows? So maybe there's more of a concentration here before the Industrial Revolution and all the coal mines and all that kind of stuff. How can you tell? One theory is that actually this technology went the other way, because at one point there was a Welsh colony, Welsh colony, took over a big chunk of southeast Ireland, and that's where you get the confusion of people like Brecon, where Brecon of Brecon, Brycheiniog, is thought to be Irish. He wasn't. He was born in Ireland of a British royal family, which is over there at the time, and it's witnessed by the fact he grabs his chunk of Brecon. He didn't have to fight his way through the Irish army. He's related to Arthur, and he's got the land as part of the marriage. All right. Anyway, let's scroll down here. Pictures of stones. See, I don't know why that one's in there. You can hardly see anything on that one. Oh yeah, here we go. This gives you an idea. See the little marks there? Down the spine? On the corner? Excuse me. Two seem to be in the British areas. Come on, page 22 is a massive document. See, some are etched on the front, but generally they're on the edges. Right, and this is where it gets interesting, okay? So they've been interested, they've been cause of interest for a long time, where they've been discovered, all this kind of stuff. I don't want to go through this. This is what I'll get onto, the language and the script, okay? Come on. There we go. Right, so the primary focus of Ogham studies has in the past been the script and the languages in which it was written. That seems pretty reasonable to me. If you're trying to work out what they say, work out what language, work out what the letters are, and you can read them. The problem is, you see, the origins of the script remain a mystery, and the function of the script is largely unknown. So there are several theories. Remember this, okay? Look at this. So you don't know what it is, and yet suddenly, this is how mad the world of academics are, okay? But it is known that the majority of Ogham inscriptions are written in a form of primitive Irish, but the inscriptions are often incomplete. No one can read it, alright? No one knows the language, but it's definitely Irish. It's definitely primitive Irish. It's absolutely bonkers. Then you got them in Scotland, then, well, how does that fit in? So one of the main with the inscriptions of Scotland involves the languages, because no one knows the language. Primitive Irish is certainly present. Hang on. Oh, sorry about this flashing. I can't see. Why won't you just highlight? Right. It's not only the language represented in Ogham. However, there's another language. This other language written in Ogham remains unknown. Honestly, you really couldn't make this up. It's got Brittonic.
Wait, so a language they don't know. So an unknown language.
Yes.
Is written in Ogham. They know.
Yes. Ogham is definitely writing, even though you can't read it and you don't know what language it's written in.
So if it's an unknown language, how do they know it's Ogham?
How do they know it's Irish and how do they know it's Ogham? How do they even know it's language? It's just marks on the side of the stone.
What if it's numbers or something?
Ah, very good, Arn. Very good. What if it's numbers or something? Or maybe, someone you might be interested in particularly, what if it's music, is what we come on to with Alan Wilson in a second.
Oh, cool.
So anyway, look at this. It's really funny here. We've got this Brittonic, which I suppose it grudgingly includes Welsh, Cymraeg, Godoilic, Norwegian, Pictish languages. They've all been suggested. But currently, their presence cannot be confirmed. They haven't actually tried Welsh, okay? So I just want to give people an idea that when Alan Wilson, because it's their work, not my work, and I'm not genius who's worked all this out, right? I'm just a reporter on it. Is he's not making it up when he paints a picture. When he says what's happening in the academic world, he's not creating a straw man argument. Alright, so you got massive databases now and all this kind of stuff. And you see it, and I get people arguing with me all the time. Ogham has been translated, you can definitely read it. It's a letter system, this, that, and the other. It's not, alright? It's not. So examples here, so I'm going to go a bit more here. Now this starts to get interesting. So some of these involve transliterations of the message in both Ogham, some sort of primitive Irish, probably, and Latin. When they talk about bilingual stones, what they're saying is you've got script in the stone, and then the markings on the edge, alright? Now look at this. Language has been used at the time, indicating that... Sorry about the flashing screen, why is it doing that? That the Irish language was at least somewhat important in Welsh society in the 5th and 6th centuries. And at least one intended audience was presumably only literate in Latin. I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? So in Ireland, in Wales, important for Welsh society. They don't know the language, but they know it's Irish. It can't be Welsh. So anyway, you can read more about that. Like I said, the link's there. Read the whole paper if you like. It is quite interesting, actually, I have to say. Academic papers only boring if you're not looking for stuff when you read them, okay? So I'm going to do is... Right, so you have to bear with me a minute now, because I tried very hard, but I ran out of time, really, because I was a lot of work putting the show together this week. Maybe that include... Must be a Roman name, yeah, because it's got an R in it. Ross is a Roman name, hey, it's got an R in it. Alright, so I've got these notes. I will try and put them up in more full, okay? What I want to do, I'll just skip through it to give you an idea, because it is very good, and it's worth listening to, okay? So, righty, what Alan Wilson is, Wilson and Blackett are presenting as an idea, is actually, it's a music system. Okay, so we'll come on to that. So unfortunately, the musical system of the ancient British and perhaps the Irish has in modern times been declared to be an Ogham alphabet. This might sound a bit weird and a bit out there, but there's a lot, nearly all of Wilson and Blackett's work. You'll find that if you go back far enough, you will find the references and where it comes from. And these ideas have been known, and for some reason they've been forgotten or pushed aside. So I'll put this picture on there because it's quite a... You can see the marks on the side. Is that better, or just look at me? I don't know. Do that one. Right. So it's been declared an Ogham alphabet. Following a strange line of thinking which runs totally contrary to available records, the clear Colburn inscriptions of the Americas, because a lot of this talks about Maddock, have been declared to be Ogham alphabets. So again, any writings with lines and that, which we can show to be Colburn, we can read it, it translates using Welsh, can't be, for some reason it has to be Ogham, even though the only Ogham we got, or the only Irish different thing, is these marks on the edges, which as you'll see are music, not words. Okay, so right, so the most quoted source of this nonsense is taken from this nonsense, I love the way he writes, is taken from the Irish manuscript known as the Book of Ballymota, which dates from around 1370 to 1390 AD. This book is said to contain 70 Ogham alphabets. Not letters or words, 70 alphabets. And the monks knew of some 130 or more. The absurdity of all this is patently obvious, as any literate nation only needs one alphabet. One alphabet, be it Greek or Latin or Arabic, is all that is required to write everything and anything. The existence of 70 alphabets and many more is ludicrous. Even more absurd is the decision that alphabet number 15 is the best and the preferred alphabet to use. From this point onward, the theory, if it can be dignified as such, gains momentum of its own. Clear Colburn inscriptions which bear little or no resemblance to Ogham are universally declared to be Ogham in America, Spain, Portugal and elsewhere. A child can see that these inscriptions are not in the Ogham alphabet, as such as it's called. But this has not deterred the enthusiastic writers of our times. Why alphabet number 15 is better than these other mass alphabets is not clear. So then we got the whole thing about... hang on. I put the explanation about why it's music. Have I jumped in a little bit too far? No, it's okay. It's going to turn up. Right. So you got the thing about Colburn writing and all that kind of stuff. This will... I'll put this in as an appendix, I think, into the next book somewhere. Right. What I want to get into is a little jump forward. Right. It's a generally accepted fact that King Griffith ap Cynan of Gwynedd, North Wales, revised and updated the systems and methods of writing musical scores around AD 1100. Griffith was himself half Irish, or Viking Irish of Dublin, and spent much of his... It's not an anti-Irish thing, okay? Don't get the wrong idea. And spent much of his life in Ireland. Around 1640, in the reign of Charles I, one Robert ab Hugh of Bodwigan in Anglesey copied the manuscript of William Penllyn, a celebrated bard of around 1540. So we're getting quite recent, 1640, 1540. This manuscript was stated to comprise, quotes, the music of Britain, as settled by the Congress or meeting of chief musicians, by order of Griffith ap Cynan, Prince of North Wales about 1040, probably the wrong date, with some of the most ancient pieces of the Britain supposed to be handed down to us by the ancient bards. All this was accompanied by the quotes, the repository of string music within the three principalities of Wales, close quotes, apparently having reference to the 12th century. So there was conferences going on, there's all sorts of discussion about this music. It'd be wonderful to work at how the music score works, wouldn't it? So anyway, just as modern music uses letters, e.g. a flat, a B and an F sharp and so on, so these ancient musical scores use symbols and occasional letters. This is precisely what is found in Ogham inscriptions. These scores are arranged numerically in numbers from 1 to 5, matching the fingers of the hand. And if anyone's listening in the other room could bring me a piece of music, I think everyone knows, funny enough, you have 5 lines in a modern music stave. I've got a piece of music there. I'll just show people the stave. I think everyone knows what it looks like, but just to make the point. And the arrangements of the strings, listen to this, on the Cymric crwth, the guitar, and also the Irish and Cymric harps. It's all based around the 5s, okay? So it seemed to be obvious that they are thought to be, that what are thought to be Ogham inscriptions are in fact musical scores for chants, possibly similar to Gregorian chants.
Sheet music.
Nice, on. That's the sort of scruffy sheet music. So I think you're all, you don't need to see this really, but there's 5 lines and marks. Turn this way up, perhaps start to get an idea of how this Ogham could work as a musical score, because we still have a musical score based on 5s. Yeah. Anyway, it's not a new idea. I mean, there's people been talking about this since 1500s. You could say since the 1200s. So all this has been thoroughly researched by Sir John Hawkins, Dr. Burney and Bartholomew, and the close correlations with Gregorian chants and music at the time of St. Ambrose have been very closely noted. Most of the ancient Cymric music was thought by Dr. Burney to have been written for the crwth, or the ancient Welsh guitar. The Cymric system of notation closely identified with the ancient Spanish. And of course, being an Englishman, Hawkins and Burney were able immediately to jump to the conclusion, wrongly, that the Cymry had copied it from the Spanish. This correlation, however, did enable them to start to read the ancient British music. Well, there are great things in, you see. If you can prove it's Spanish, and the British and Welsh have copied it, it's okay to research the subject. If they had said it was Welsh, never be heard of again. So what it amounts to is that where a monumental stone has an inscription in Old Latin, because the British spoke Latin, I've got a pet theory about Latin, if that's a real language, and whether or not it derives from British rather than the other way, but that's a big subject for another day. So we've got an Old Latin proclaiming so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, and then on the edges, it's accompanied by an Ogham series, which is the chant most likely associated with the named king, prince, or bishop. So that all Dark Ages notables had their individual sayings or chants is clear from ancient poetic records. So like a theme tune. I think that's wonderful, isn't it? If each king and prince and lord has got his own little tune that plays. So the misidentification of a series of Ogham musical scores as alphabets is obviously a dangerous situation. Anyone translating Ogham musical scores as a written language text is seriously misleading themselves and their readers. To claim to read these musical scores not only as a language, but also as Celtic, a non-existent language, is an even more dubious practice. And then there's more then about people have written about this and how it's turned up in various places. So I thought that was absolutely fascinating and amazing, really, that we can have a situation whereby you've got a musical score. But you see why I wanted to show the academic paper first now, because you read that, you think that's bonkers, that can't be right. You can't have someone claiming a written language who's got tons and tons of alphabets. I mean, it's more or less the case every time you find a stone. It reminds me of the hieroglyphs. Every time you find some new information, what you've done already doesn't work, so you invent a new alphabet to translate the new stone. Same as they do with hieroglyphs. If you get a book of dictionary of hieroglyphs, you'll find like pages and pages of definitions for the same hieroglyph. Because they try one thing one place, but then it doesn't work. You have to change something else somewhere else. With the hieroglyphs, the problem there is they're thinking a hieroglyph is a letter, when actually each one is a word, which makes it obviously impossible. And very similar in this situation, you've got a musical note, and you're trying to spell words out of it. So there we are, bonkers. I find that very interesting, convincing. I'd like to know more about that if people have got any thoughts. Well, people are on all sorts of things. Consciousness and Tesla and energy. Pardon?
We did not start streaming 5 minutes ago. I don't know why the computer's saying that.
Has something gone wrong?
No, it's just this computer, because it hasn't...
Oh, it just hasn't updated. That's when you logged on. That's when you logged on. It's not... No, that's right. Oh my goodness, we've got loads of time. 25 to 10. Oh my goodness. I haven't done the next bit, which I want to do in more detail. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut the next bit short. Amorica. La 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 la. Amorica. La 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 la. Amorica. Right, now, I have always fallen for something here, which... Now, I was going to write all this out in full, right? But I just not had chance. So I could try and type it in while you're watching, but it'll look a bit ugly, so you'll see the edges and everything. But there we... Hang on. Did I get cut off again? Oh, please don't do this to me again.
No.
No, I'm alright. Cool. You can see it working. Alright, I can access it from there as well now. Alright, so okay, so I'll do just a quick one, right? Just to give you a feed, because it is really fun. Is the Amorica, where is it? Now, I've always, and I as recently as yesterday, well, even this morning, I put this down as Amorica is just Brittany. It's where the court went, and that was just their name for it. But every time you say it, people who don't know nothing about history at all and nothing about British records think, oh, it looks just like America. Is that America? Because I'm sure people know. Do you know where the name America comes from? Tell you what we'll do. You can watch me. You can watch me. See, all these things I got open. There's just way too many things, isn't it? So there's that paper. See, everyone can watch me now. Let's go to Google. I know people can tell me off. Again, don't use Google unless you have to, but it's the best, really. Okay, where does the name America? Amerigo Vespucci, okay? Now this immediately doesn't make any sense at all, okay? Because for one...
Well done, Gary. You got it before it came up.
Well done, Gary. Amerigo. Very good. Gary Taylor, on fire, mate. Well, the first thing is, Amerigo Vespucci had nothing really to do with America, so why would they name it after him? But the second one is, since when did people have things named after their first name? His surname is Vespucci. So it'd be Vespuccia if it was renamed after this bloke. In the same way that it's Columbia. It's not Christopher, but his first name is Christopher Columbus, or Christos, whatever his name was. So it just doesn't make any sense, this one. It's a bit bonkers. And if you find out more about this bloke, it doesn't make any sense at all, okay? So maybe, it's a reflection of the old Welsh Cymric name. Because one of the myths you have as well is the other world, Annwn, and that is some sort of Celtic fairyland, where it's not. It's the same way as the other world is America. And you might think, well, that's a stupid name for it. Well, the Spanish called it the New World. We call it the New World. The Welsh call it the other world, all right? And there's a lot more about that in the forthcoming book. Might get that one done as well. So if we go through this, I was going to type it out, wasn't I? That's what I was going to do. So people can see, right? Okay. Right, so... No, they'll see now. There's a lag. Isn't there a lag? Oh, okay.
No. There's a 2 on the screen now.
The 2, yeah, because that's how I changed the settings. Oh, here we go. If I type any numbers, it's all going to go wrong, okay? So it goes through some of the other words. Irir means towards that which is beyond, blah, blah, blah. So America, I was going to read the whole thing, but I'm getting a bit late. Sure everyone's getting a bit tired now. So Amorica breaks down into its 3 parts. Amorica. I make that 4, but I think it doesn't count. We can see what this may mean if we get past the double meanings. Again, this thing which Welsh, and I had another Welsh supposed language expert. I'm going to go at me again. I've never heard of double meanings of Welsh words. And so just get an old dictionary. You see, words have more than one meaning, which can create some confusion. It also allows wonderful depth of meaning, and it allows the hieroglyphs to work. But anyway, so R can mean ploughland. Sounds a bit weird. Or above. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do this line by line, might be easier. That's R. Oh, this can get really confusing. Ploughland or above. More, I think we all know more. Ooh. Our Lanamore. Lanamore, seaside, and we've got the t-shirts. Don't forget, you can get branded gear. Morfran is the cormorant. Hang on a second, let's just check. I got the same as Al. More means seas, but it can also mean multitudes. Multi. Oh god.
I thought multitude's one word.
Yeah, it is usually. Thanks, Al. In this case, the I seems to mean to go towards. I, like Mindy somewhere, or Mindy or Mindy. I go towards. And car means he will have rather than holding or a keep. Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it?
Above seas go towards a holding.
Right, so the result is, hang on a second, let's just move this now. See the logic of this now, because it gets a bit tricky to follow. This is why I really want to type it out. Okay, so what we have then, ploughland for multitudes towards he will have. Alternatively, upon the seas towards a holdfast. So it could be either of those. I'll do this one because it's less to type. And don't forget, if you become a Patreon, you get all these notes and everything sent to you every week. I'm not sure I sent last week's out. I apologise for that. You should have it, okay? See all these notes, the videos of Al and all that kind of stuff. Right. It is similar to the names given by the Cymry to their lands of origin before they arrived in ancient Britain. They called their original homeland Defrobani. I should put that in the other box there, shouldn't I? Hang on. Alright. Oh. Alright, you can watch it all real time as it were now. What's the comments on? Is everyone going berserk?
No.
Defrobani, okay? Now, I've heard this discussed many times. People say it's Ceylon, don't they? Or Sri Lanka, sorry. Sri Lanka gets thrown in as this one, which is curious because we've got another reference to Ceylon or Sri Lanka when we get to some of the hieroglyphs. But anyway, Defrobani. Okay, this is really good. Which amazingly, some 19th century buffoons saw as 19th. Yet def means one's own. Def equals one's... can't see what I'm doing. One's own. Def means one own. Robar, hang on a second. Ro means a gift. Bar means being in, and ni is we, which means that they've said that the land... Hang on. I'll just do a summary. We being in... Now, some of this sounds a bit... Our own gift. Some of this can sound a little bit clumsy because it is archaic Welsh, and this is where I think the academics get a bit confused because what the temptation always, and this is something that Wilson and Blackett explain more in their books, but I'm going to be explaining more when I convert all this. The way they approach things, and it's a good example, as I mentioned earlier, translate word for word for word in a very literal sense, giving all the options. It might seem ridiculous at first, but then you can look at the sentence and work it out, and you can see if it does have a meaning, and then you can allow for the fact it might be archaic or whatever. The standard practice is to use what's called interpretations. Well, usually academics just read someone else's translation and copy it. I'll just refer to it. If it's old, just make all these things. You get really off-put studying ancient Welsh history. So you get Middle Welsh and Ancient Welsh. They're all very different. The words are surprisingly constant. And this is why things like the hieroglyphs can be read. The Colburn writing can be read. Because the main words stay constant. It might seem a bit strange at first, but it's not as bad as Chaucer or something, you know. And you soon get into the flow of it, okay? So I hope this helps a bit there. So, right, okay, so what we have here, which means that they said that the land we being in our own gift, rather like the promised land. They also remembered the place as Glada Hav, or the land of plenty, and Hav can also mean summer. So he's got this thing of plenty and summer. It is curious that there was a place known to the 6th century and later Cymru as Amorica. I have spelled it right. And the argument that this was a duplicate name for the British provinces of Brittany and Ladau Normandy in northern Gaul seems to lack conviction. After all is said and done, just why did the modern explorers and migrants and their map makers call America by that name? Is it an echo of Amorica? So America, imagine that the name Amorica, America, could be actually a Welsh word. That would freak people out a bit, wouldn't it, eh? Hang on. This would be better. There we go. It's given that Arthur II, Madoc Morfran, and Amun V are recorded as journeying to this distant place called Erir, which has also been distributed to Gwynedd in northwest Wales as Erie is the place of the eagles. It should not be surprising if monumental stone or rock inscriptions name these kings and princes of this expedition. And of course, you've got all of the important things from King Arthur Conspiracy will be in the new book. Or, say, if we get more interest, we had quite a few people now asked for King Arthur Conspiracy to be reprinted. So if we can get some more, it might be worth doing, all right, because it's going to be a big job. What I'd rather do is produce a book concentrating more on the writing and the history and how to do it, a bit more like Cymroglyphics, and a book on, I know these things all tie together, another book then on Madoc and the migrations, and another book on the comet, where you try and get them all jammed into one, and bits and pieces of it can get quite difficult. It's part of the fun of Wilson and Blackett books, I agree. So there we go. And what this does then is follows, you can go to American caves like Bat Creek Cave and all these other places, and you can actually see then the Colburn writing and you can read it. So there you go, there's something for you to think about, and I think we're just about done for the day because we're miles over. Right, Arnie B, are you going to give us some music to go out?
Oh, of course.
So I want to see some more about Colburn, and I'll hold this page for next week. It's another curious.
Got my special hat on for this
I got your special play the music hat on. Oh, he's gonna get. The gangster hat's coming out. It's Italian gangster hat. That can only mean one thing.
Also, I'm gonna put the Ferrari car.
And a Ferrari hat. Okay, there we go. So the comments are catching up. Right, Arnie B for Bard. Yeah, I'm Bard. He's good. Right, okay. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that. And so I'll try to add more detail. I rushed it through a bit then, just to give you how you can read this better and stuff. But I just want to give a flavour. And I think Defrobani is pretty convincing. We being in our own gifts. And then we have Upon the Seas Towards a Holdfast, Amorica. Imagine that. And I'll look more into this and give some more details. I mean, if that really is... And to be honest, Wilson and Black are usually right, you know? And then we'll see if that's where the word Amorica comes from. Right, okay. Well, I think we're going to... it's all disinformation. Oh, here we go. Loads of comments. Right, okay. Right, so this massive lag. Some of you now see in the comments about what I just talked about. Okay, then, Arnie B, you going to play us out? I can't sing to this one, really. You're ad-libbing now, are you? I thought it was the police coming to get me then. Right, well, thank you much, everyone. No star at all. Probably forget it. Think he's sticking out a lot tonight, but probably forgot it. But you can always watch it again, can't you? And what I do ask, if you could please, if you could just... I know we got loads of likes and everything. People are very good if they're logged in, so please do that. And what you can do is tell other people, and you can copy the little URL, as it's called, the address at the top, and drop down to emails or your social media, and help spread the word. And I'm really grateful, because that's the only advertising we have, and it's going great, and things are going really well. So thank you to everyone, and don't forget the books are available. Let's say goodnight to a few people. Thank you everyone. To Bank Robber by the Clash. I don't think we know that one. Right, we'll try and look at Bank Robber by next week. Very nice song. Alright, no star everyone, yes, no tar Patricia. And Patricia, yes, I will be sending those scans from here to help with. Thank you very much for the offer on them. Hey, thank you, Arnie. Right then. I think we're going to go now. It's almost 10 o'clock. My goodness, I got miles over. So much to cram in.
Grazie ragazzi.
Grazie, yeah. Grazie mille, yeah.
I don't know how to say goodbye. Ciao.
Yeah, arrivederci or something, isn't it? Yeah. Ciao will do. Alright then. So, anyway, I'm going to go back to Welsh now. So, no star Paul, but as I always say at the end of everything, until the next time, peace. Oh, sorry, Hedwig. Muppet. Right, I got the wrong screen up, haven't I? So I'm obviously going to have to do it again now. Hang on. North Star and Hedwig. That hasn't worked either. Yay, there you go. Alright, thank you everyone. Diolch yn fawr.